Starting. Okay, hi, I'm Paul, back with another episode of Plusma-cast, and the show where I speak with creatives to hopefully share with you the experiences of how you can get into the industry to build yourself a sustainable vocation. Okay, and today I have Theeban Govindasamy, who is an MMA fighter, but more recently an action film actor.
Yeah, sort of thing.
Okay, so Theeban has been in the Malaysian movie PASKAL, which is about the Marine Special Forces, and particularly the story covers a case of the Malaysian Navy action.
Of Sabah. It happened in Sabah, and it covers that case. But of course, there were fictional characters and all thrown in there. But that's what it covered.
Okay, great. But as usual for Plusma-cast, what we do is we cover your early beginnings of coming into creative work.
Okay.
Okay. So the first question I will ask is, what was your earliest ideas of getting to? I mean, maybe it was acting, maybe it's action, or maybe it was sports. I don't know. But what was your earliest ideas to get into this type of activity or work?
That happened not until I was much later into my life, like 18, 19 years old. That's when I really knew I wanted to continue fighting.
Right.
And that was all I wanted to do. I didn't want to do become an actor or anything like that, but I had a vision where I wanted to be one of the top fighters in the world, and that was what I was working towards ever since I was 18, 19 years old.
18, 19.
Yeah.
So top fighter in the world. And so that was a lot of training, a lot of...
There was. I joined the national karate team when I was 16 years old.
Okay.
So I represented the country till I was about 23. So 7 years I was with the national karate team, about that 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, part of your achievements was, I researching up a bit, part of your achievement was winning 2 medals in regional games.
Southeast Asian Games, yeah. SEA Games, yeah. So I got 3 silver medals there actually.
That's
3
great.
silver medals. So I've been fighting in, here and of course internationally for quite some time before I transitioned to MMA. So at about 18, 19 years old, that's when I knew that I wanted to try something else.
Okay.
Because that's when I hurt my knee. I got my ACL torn in my left knee.
Okay.
So I took about a year off where I had to recover and all of that. And so it got me thinking about a future in sports, right? And that's when I really thought about it. And that's when I thought, I definitely want to do this. But what sport do I want to do now? Okay, do I want to do karate, continue doing karate, or do I want to do something else? And that time, my brother was, all my siblings did karate, but my brother was the one who ventured out and tried new sports. He tried kendo, boxing, and all these other things. And he also tried MMA. And when we would talk, he would tell me how MMA is, what it is, and then I would watch videos about what it was. And at that time, it was still very fresh, very new. Okay, but I really started to like it, and that's when I thought, one day I would transition. I would make that switch from karate to MMA.
Okay, so here's a curious question. Now you said you injured yourself. Sometime in your karate.
When I was 19.
Yeah, in your professional karate career, we could say that.
Yeah.
And in the recovery, you said that you could have some time to think.
Yeah.
So, to some people, it might be the reason to move out of the sport, but you kind of persisted.
Yes. So I injured my knee twice, to both my knees actually. So the first one when I was 16, also an ACL tear where I underwent an operation and everything and all of that. But that took like 6 months to heal. So very good. The second one was when I was 19, ACL, MCL, multiple injuries in one knee, and that's where I had to get multiple surgeries in one knee as well. I got screws up until today. Everyone would tell me that, as in the doctors and my karate seniors, and everyone tell me, okay, so what, now you have to look for something else, now you have to do something else. So have you thought what you're going to do?
Not to stress
the knee too much, Yes.
Instead, you did something to persist.
When people tell me things like that, I never had, when people tell me what I can and cannot do, it's never something that stayed in my mind.
Right.
So when it's to do with rules, it's something else. Okay, stay on your lane, don't drive on 2 lanes. That's common sense. That is something people tell you. Okay, I stay on my lane. But this is my ability and how much I can do. So no one else can tell me what I can or cannot do. So as I started to heal, as I started to progress with my injury, or rather my recovery, and then I was like, I don't have to quit now. I'm not anywhere near quitting. I didn't even think about quitting. So that sort of gave me that it's just, instead of thinking about stopping, I just thought about what else can I do now. I want to do something else, and I definitely want to continue doing this. I don't want to stop fighting and start working behind a desk or something. So that wasn't what the goal was. My knee still gives me problems until today, definitely. So I do whatever I have to do. I ice my knee, I get a short rest in and all of that, and I'm good to go again. So I know exactly what to do.
Okay, so from karate, which you got to quite a big stage in the world, international competitions, and then you moved on to MMA.
Yeah.
So it probably, I don't know, I'm presuming that the change probably wasn't that difficult to go from karate to MMA.
Okay, no, I thought so too at the beginning when I was switching. Sorry, is your question done?
Yeah, I mean, was it a difficult transition to go from karate to MMA?
At the beginning I was like, there was a tournament in Paradigm Mall, I remember, and this is just me fresh coming out of karate. Haven't been training for like 6 months at that point. Gained a bit of weight, not much of that. But gained a bit of weight, and I never trained MMA a day in my life other than watching videos, right? So I thought it would be a good idea to try and fight MMA because I'm a karate exponent. I've won multiple tournaments, and how hard can it be? Same thoughts with me, right? I go in there, I sign up, I step into the cage. I'm not scared, right?
Okay.
And when they closed the cage behind me, and that's when I thought, oh my, what's going to happen now? That's when I started to think exactly. That's when it all came to me. But then a little bit of fear, it was there, of course. And when I started the fight, that's when I knew that it wasn't the same deal at all. It wasn't the same thing at all. Because the moment we would strike, and the moment the guy caught me, and when he started grappling with me, I didn't know anything. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get out of a position where I'm on the ground and he's on me and punching me. So I didn't know how to get out of any of that, and that was a very a panicky moment for me, that whole thing. But then what a good takeaway was, when I would stand up and strike with him, he had no reply, because he's a boxer and he wants to fight in close range, and I'm a karateka who wants to fight at a longer distance, and so I would hit him from much longer distance, and he had no reply at all, other than when he would grab me and throw me down. Right. So that again. So when I came out, I lost the fight. I lost the fight, but when I came out, and they said, "Hey, you got good striking." But it was a very traumatic experience because I didn't know what to do, and I've never been in that position in karate, where I'm losing so horribly and all that. So what I took away from that was, wow, the striking was very fun. The whole thing was such a thrilling experience. I want to do this more, and that's when I got into a dojo, a gym. I started to train to fight.
Okay, so that's a few years previously, right?
Yeah, that was at 23.
Okay, so from MMA, you're just training, going forward, and still competing internationally.
Yes.
Okay, so you've reached that.
I've reached the international level.
Okay, probably a bit as a general advice. Okay, what type of mindset would you need to be able to train and be at that, towards going at that level?
Okay, a lot of people, when they come into the gym, it's 100% the coach.
All right.
The coach tells me I do. The coach tells me I'm not ready for tournament. I'm not ready for tournament. The coach tells me whatever he tells me, that's what I'm going to do. Right? That's true. That's true to a certain extent when the coach knows exactly what he's doing. But to a certain extent, you have to have vision. You have to know what you want to do. Do I want to do this? Number one. Do you really want to do this forever? Okay. If you do, how do you constantly think about techniques? Constantly think about how to make yourself better. And if you lose a fight, do you quit immediately, or do you the first thing that comes to your mind should be, how do I how do I fix that? You have to break everything down and say the problem was here. And how do I fix this in order to win the fight or in order to fix the bigger problem later?
Right.
So that's one thing that I have, and I always, instead of, and I don't think quitting this never comes to my head. You know, it's always, I'm going to push, I'm going to try, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to keep trying to find out what the problem is. And once I solve this problem, there will be another problem. And then you solve that problem, and then you solve that problem. Like Nicole David, the squash player, she said, whenever she wins or loses a tournament, or even if she wins, she goes back home and she fixes one problem she takes like months to fix just one problem. And that would be a tiny issue with maybe the way she swings that racket, maybe her elbow head cannot be too far out, maybe it has to be a bit deeper inside. And that's this your mind working now more than your body saying, yes, you can go, I got big muscles, I can do this, you know. You have to think about it. And sometimes when your body says rest now, your mind has to know, okay, now I'm going to rest, and you got to rest. So it's a combination of a lot of things that they have to do.
Okay, so there's the part that that's quite clearly mentioning here is that one, there's the personal drive.
Yeah.
And with that personal drive, it's you have a goal, and how do you have all these components to make sure you get there. What about the support system? So one thing you say is that, okay, you have the goal to be a top MMA fighter, okay, and your first bout was interesting, and then you set out to go, okay, find a dojo, find a master or a coach. Okay, so on the one hand, there's your personal mindset, your personal goals. How important it is to find that support system?
Okay, very interesting question. So when I was doing karate professionally, national team full time, my parents were already asking me, when are you going to quit? When are you going to do something more normal? Okay. Of course, every parent doesn't want you to get beat up every time you go out to work, you know. So that was my work. I would go beat people up or get beat up, and they didn't want that, so they would constantly ask me. And that was, I always said to myself and to them that this is what I want to do, and you know, you have to. And they were very supportive in that sense. They would always ask me, yes, but whenever I go for tournaments, they're always supportive in pushing me. That said, now when I switched to MMA, so with karate, I had the backing of the government, right? Because I was the national team, okay, fighting for Malaysia. Now when I go on to MMA, it's a professional sport. Now it's all me. Everything is me. How I get my funding, how I get my sponsorship, how I divide my time, and if I want to work and train at the same time, how I do all that at the same time. The people around you who are telling you, yes, you can do it, yes, you can do it. Okay, I had my girlfriend Dasha. She knew, or she believed in me rather, believed in my abilities, and so I had extremely good support from her, and that was one of the things that drove me to do better every day. But then my parents on the other side still did not want me to do. Now I switched from karate, from a not so full contact sport, to MMA, which is a truly bloody sport.
Right.
Okay, I still call it a sport. It's a sport, right? So here they were really against it. They're not to say really against it. I mean, they didn't want to watch me fight.
They're very concerned about it.
Very concerned. My dad, up until today, has not watched me fight. My mom has watched me fight only once. Yeah, MMA, right? So when finally my mom came to watch, she came to watch me fight live. That was her showing support to me.
Okay.
She sort of said to herself that, okay, you know what, he wants to do this, and I'm going to let him do this, and you go do your thing, and I'm going to come and watch. And when she came to watch me, it was a big relief for me. Now that is one part. Is one kind of support. Now the other kind of support I'm going to say is financial support,
okay.
And that is the biggest problem that I faced when I was doing this, because I wasn't getting a steady income, and if I want to train in any significant way in order to become a good fighter, I have to be at the gym, say 2-3 times a day. Okay, so now problem is if I'm there 2-3 times a day, I'm not working, I'm not making money.
Yeah,
How am I supporting
there's
myself?
not time that's monetized.
Exactly, no time monetized, right? And I cannot monetize my MMA skills because at that point it was practically non-existent. I don't have skills to show, so I'm training, right? And so that was one of the hardest times for me. I had to find time to work, which was at that time personal training, coaching. I would do a little bit of karate coaching, so that gave me a little bit of money here and there. But I had to literally scrape through until I started winning MMA fights, and that's when people started recognizing me, and sponsors started to come and with some money and all of that. And then when I had to go for tournaments overseas, people were willing to support me, right? That apart from support that you need from your family, that would be the hardest thing to do, because I consider myself someone lucky. I come from a rather good family, and if I say I don't want to do this, I want to do something else, I want to chase my passion, which is not going to pay me for 5 years, my parents will take me in, like they did. They would take me in. I can go and do whatever I want and live with them, Now, a lot of people don't have this, I wouldn't say a lot of people, some people don't have this privilege, A lot of people come from homes where they are the ones who have to support the family, and so it's a thing where you have to do what makes sense and what you want to do. Sometimes it doesn't always make sense, but if you have to do it, then you have to do it, in order to survive, because those are your defining years. If you don't do something significant in your defining years, and then you're not going to be doing something you like throughout. So it was a tough time, but that support, financial support and family support, came in very, very handy for me when I wanted to do what I wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it took you, so that beginning phase, okay, of transitioning in MMA, how long was that?
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah, 2 years. 2 years before I won the national, the title.
Okay.
2 years before I won the title.
Okay. So once that happened, then it was kind of a grueling process that you just described.
It was,
from the national representative of karate back to zero.
Back to zero,
and
yes.
then to rebuild that,
Yeah.
and you've got some momentum out of it now, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Okay, so obviously that when you have that breakthrough and start to have that recognition, different opportunities start to come in.
Yeah.
So how did film come into this?
Okay. Before I did this film, PASKAL,
Right.
I did another one. I don't think you know. 2013, I want to say. Not very sure. About 2013, maybe. 2013. Okay. It was a local Tamil movie.
Okay.
Which at that point I was still very much invested in karate, and as a fighter, I had this mindset where I can only do fighting, and I want to fight, and I don't want to do anything else. As a sportsman, and it's a very narrow thing that I recommend nobody has. Okay, nobody have. So my karate master, my karate coach, he wanted to produce a movie. He wanted to tell the people, tell everyone, tell the public about what karate is all about.
Okay.
Because karate is still it's a sport that brings a lot of medals, but not a very recognized sport. Okay,
No.
Taekwondo is a lot more recognized than karate.
Yeah. Okay. Taekwondo seems to be more prominent in the Malaysian scene.
Definitely, yeah, in the Malaysian scene, yeah, that's correct. So he wanted to make a movie where I was carrying the lead role.
Okay.
And I didn't want to do it. Number one, I didn't want to do it because it was that big turn off from what I wanted to do and what I was doing. And but somehow when he spoke to me, he convinced me that I should do it, and I did do it. And nothing much came out of that at that point. Okay, the movie came out. I didn't do too well in the cinemas and all of that. So that happened and passed just like that. So now 4 years later, when last year when I got the call from PASKAL, I got a call from the casting department from PASKAL. Right? What they said was they saw this Tamil movie. And I was like, how did you see it? Right? Anyway, they saw the movie and they said, okay, this guy might fit the role. And one of my friends apparently he's an actor. He went in for casting, and they asked him about it. They asked him like, "Do you know Theeban?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay." And then he gave them my number, and that's when they called me up. And when they called me up, I was very hesitant, like because at that point I still had that mindset to sort of
I just want to fight.
I just want to fight,
As
you know.
a sport.
Yeah,
Not not on camera.
nothing else, you know. So I don't like, I didn't like taking pictures for Instagram. I didn't like posing. I didn't like doing any of that. And that was how close my mind was. You know, it was a very close-minded thing that I couldn't open. And the only thing that opened it up was my girlfriend. I have to say, she was the only thing that, because every time like. Say we dress up, we go somewhere. It's like, just stand here, I'll take a picture for you, put it on your Instagram, we'll make your Instagram big. And
you're saying no.
I always
not.
like, no, I don't want. And I would fight with her, saying, no, I don't want to do this. You know, I would show her this face. You know, I don't want to do it. You know, and but she would still, you know, patiently, she would still take it. Try not to fight with me. She would still take that picture and upload it for me on my own Instagram. You know. And slowly my Instagram gained momentum. And that's where I just started to slowly open up, because she would tell me that I am getting all these opportunities that a lot of people are not getting. A lot of people are chasing but are not getting. Because prior to the movie, I got people who wanted me to do modeling, people wanted to do catwalks that I never took, that I never wanted to do.
Right.
So when she told me that, I mean, it all made sense. Of course, people call me for, and I consider myself very lucky because I get these calls. But I never really took action on it because it's not what I want to do. Right?
Yeah.
So when I got the call from PASKAL, they said to me that, and she was overseas at that time. She was in Europe. So it was, in that call, it was just me and this lady, right? And I was thinking, I paused, and she said, hey, we want you to come in this movie, we want you to come in and cast for the movie, for this role. And I was like, oh, okay. But my immediate response was, okay, I'll be there.
All right.
Okay, because I immediately thought about what my girlfriend said, and okay, you know what, I'm going to do this, I'm going to come. And then she said, okay, can you come on this Saturday and all that. And the Saturday comes, and I was just a little bit busy. By the time I got back home, I figured it would be too late if I were to go to the casting session, and I just didn't show up because I was under the impression that she just made a few calls to a few people, to a bunch of people, that and I was just one of them.
Might have been filled.
Yeah, and I was just one of those guys.
Right.
So and then when I didn't show up, she calls me back and she says, "Hey, you didn't show up. Are you? Is everything okay? Can you come?" I felt so bad. I was like, "Oh my God, you were waiting for me. I'm so sorry. I will be there tomorrow if I can make." And it's like, "Yeah, okay, please come tomorrow." And I go the next day, and they're all very helpful in how I should do a scene, because I had no prior experience to casting.
Yeah,
no prior experience.
Very little.
Yeah. No, I had no casting experience at all. Casting, so I didn't know what it was. I didn't know I had to prepare a monologue and go, but I didn't have to. They had a script for me and all of that. When I acted the scenes out, they would show me how it was and say, like, "Can you do this better? Can you do this better?" And when I would do it, when I would see it, it was like, it's horrible, and then I would do it again, and then it's like, it's a lot better, and then they would be like, "Okay, this is what I want," and they were very helpful in that sense. And I sort of broke out of that and said, "You know what? I'm going to give you my 100%." Okay. And that's when I sort of did.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing I want to ask. Okay, that in that first film where about karate and doing PASKAL, both are, you could say, action-oriented films.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, on the one hand, is you are in sports where your actions are live in reaction to what your sparring opponent is.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so it's a very fluid thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas you're getting to film, which is a very scripted thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So again, it's not a question of how did you transit from, to many people when we see the film, we say, oh, this is the result, and he's probably made for the role, but
it wasn't.
It probably wasn't, because it's two very different things,
yes,
and you're trying to transition into it again.
Yeah.
So, what type of adjustments or
adaptations
that you had to go through?
There was a lot of adjustments that I had to make. Okay, number one, just going into this room, it was a round table where we all the actors were sat around the table with our scripts in hand, and we had to do a script reading, okay, just to bounce off each other and see how we flow, and all the other guys were experienced, 10 years, 7 years experience, and I was coming here with one movie in hand, 4 years of nothing. I don't even call myself an actor, going there and sitting with them. I don't even know what to say, but I didn't think I was in the right place at that time, okay? Because I was a fighter. I still had that feeling in me, and I don't belong there. And that just, when you think about it, it makes no sense at all, okay? Because wherever you go, as long as you try and belong, you belong. It's not that, okay, I'm a tall guy, I don't belong with shorter people. That doesn't make sense at all when you think about it as plain as that, So, but what really helped me was the actors of my fellow cast, right? They were very, very welcoming to me, and they were very supportive of the fact that I had no experience acting, or rather one film, but that doesn't count. I wouldn't count that because I didn't have any kind of proper coaching for that role. Here it was something significant, and so going through my lines when shooting the film, trying to do a scene. It's not just the director who would direct me, who would tell me, okay, smile less, move less, turn less, say your lines, peek here and all of that. Say if I'm saying it to the lead character, okay, and he would tell me, hey, you should do it like this. You should try like this. You should try like this, because he knows that I don't have experience, and I was open to anyone who was going to give me any kind of idea, about what I should do and how I should do it. And it was a huge adjustment to try and adjust into a role where you have to remember what you're doing, have to act it out, have to show the right emotions, and have to say your lines correctly. When I go and fight, I just have to put the work in before my fight, and once I go to perform, which is shooting, once I go to perform, I just let it all loose. What I know, I can do whatever I want. I can improvise however I want. Here, I don't have that. The director can improvise however he wants. I have to follow what they say, right? And so it was a very, it was a few days before I got adjusted to that, before I could show the right emotions and remember my lines and walk calmly at the same time. Not like, okay, am I remembering this right? So it was an adjustment. There was an adjustment period for that. But once you get over that, it's not impossible, not at all impossible. It's just a matter of this being calm, letting your body do the physical work, and just think about your lines and think about how your face should react to those lines. It's a very simple thing. Sometimes when say while you're shooting, when you're saying something, when my character, when the opposite character is saying something to me, if you're thinking about your lines, you're not going to react. Your face is not going to react in the correct way. Right? Because you're not going to react to what he said. Rather, if you're listening to him at the same time, and then you are sort of responding to that, and then your face shows what it should be showing. You don't have to go like, okay, I have to smile now, and your smile is all awkward, So you just let it all react, and you let it flow, and that's good acting. If you get into the role and just let it happen, that's acting.
That's it. Okay. So, I'm no actor myself.
Okay.
I have a script to make the show, but that's more the format.
Okay.
So now there's probably when you get, so you come into the preparation, okay? You and your fellow actors read the scripts, and then there's some ideas of storyboarding and such and such. Can you describe the process from when you get the papers, or maybe even when you get the part, so to speak, and going to film, going to set, the makeup and all that? Can you chronologically describe what's a day like?
What's a day like? Okay.
Or what's the role actors, or how is the actor's job on set, that kind of thing.
Okay, so you get your script, say a month beforehand or a couple of weeks beforehand,
right?
Okay, before everything starts. You go through it, and you know who you are.
Wait, this is script per scene or script for the show?
The whole thing.
Okay.
You get this whole
2 weeks.
2 weeks before, but then you don't have to.
That sounds intense.
Yeah, you don't have to memorize the whole
All
thing.
right.
You have to know who you are, Rather, when you read you have to read the whole thing. Okay? You don't just read your lines. Okay? That's something I learned the hard way. I didn't know that. I was just reading my lines.
Yeah.
So you have to read the whole thing.
Okay.
And then you have to sort of idealize who your character is and become that person. Okay? If it's a more significant role, that means you have to put a lot more heart into it.
Right.
And once you've done all of that, that's your homework. Once you've done all of that, and you go on set, a typical day, a typical PASKAL day, let's say. Okay. Wake up. We start shooting very early sometimes. Because so our days are like sometimes even 12, 13, 14, 15 hours shooting alone. Okay. So you get up. We're up at like 5, 6 o'clock. Immediately go into makeup. I mean, of course, you get dressed and all that. You go into makeup, where they put all this. It's not that pretty makeup. It's that smudge, the black smudge on your face, You just put it all on you, and it's a very tedious process. That whole process, because it has to look exactly how it looked in the previous scene. Right. So the makeup artists here, professionals, right? They have pictures of how I looked yesterday, or if we are shooting the same scene, this scene. 10 days later or a month later, but a continuation from a much older scene, the makeup has to look the same from like a month ago.
Right.
Okay. So they would have pictures and they would be doing your face for like hours on end while you just have your coffee, you're just sitting down talking, have your coffee with your friends and all of that. That whole process is very nice. And then after makeup is where you get dressed up. We put our gear on, and the gear is really heavy. So you have to be carrying your gear for like the whole day, because you can't just simply take it up, put it on, take it up, put it on. You have to have your gear on you all times. So you get your gear on, and once you're on set, and that's when things start to get a little bit real. Things are more like at the beginning it's very slow. It's makeup, it's coffee, it's jokes, and all of that. But once you go on set, it's like, okay, don't do this wrong. Okay, you ready? And then there's the camera has test shoots, and then if there's guns involved, and then we have to test the guns on top of that. And then there's the PASKAL officials who would come and check our berets, check our uniform, check everything head to toe if everything is right. Up until even if our laces are tucked in properly, because you cannot have long bunny laces. You have to have it all tucked in very nice and neat. Your beret has to be right above the ear and all of that. So everything is checked from top to bottom. And then you don't touch anything, You cannot go like, oh, it's hot, take out your beret. You cannot do any of that, You just have to sit there with your uniform on until you're ready to go. So if they're shooting, there were 7 of us,
right?
The main cast. So if they're shooting 2 of them, just waiting there with the uniform, not moving anywhere. And there's little umbrellas who would follow you everywhere around because they don't want, not because we're divas or anything, but I didn't know that. So when they would come with me with the umbrella, I'm like, no, I don't need an umbrella. No, you go sit, because, it's that thing where, I don't need it. Go ahead, It's like, no, it's not for you. It's for the makeup.
Yeah, I was going to guess that. If anything else, it's to prevent the makeup from smudging.
I had no idea. I had no makeup on never had makeup on my face before that. Right? Good one. All right. I had no idea makeup melts under the sun. So then I was like, oh, okay, I'll take your umbrella. So
then I probably wouldn't be suitable for acting because I sweat very easily.
Oh yeah, okay. I don't.
No, probably not for me then. Probably not for me.
I don't. If I'm not moving, I'm hardly sweating at all.
Okay.
Even if I'm moving, I'm hardly sweating. So and then the moment you go on set, you go like, you want to do it in like 5 takes. You don't want to go too much. Unless there's a lot of variables involved, and then you would go a lot more. If it's just you want to do it under 5, 2, 3, make sure you get your lines right. So you smoothen the whole process instead of making it harder for them. And that was one of my challenges because I am new, going there, sitting there, trying to do my lines. And I have this habit of smiling all the time. So when people even stare at me for very long, not even long, like 5-10 seconds at a time, I go like, why are you looking at me, man? I start looking all over the place. I get very agitated, you know. And so the lead character knew this. So one of the first scenes where we were in a room and we were trying to, and I had a line, and I was in front, the camera was in front of me,
Right.
and this guy is behind the camera. The lead actor is behind the camera. He has to feed me his lines, and then I have to say my lines. So it's a close-up shot, right? And after he would say his lines, he would do a funny face, and I could not hold it back, right? And so those are just the challenges that you have to do. You have to just become more professional. And now I can do that. Now it's just like, hey, cut it all out and just talk, and I'll say my lines, So it's a thing you have to learn, and it's a very fun thing, the whole process. And sometimes our days end at like 5, 7 a.m. the next day. So
It's like you're on set 24 hours.
24 hours, you're on set 24 hours, and you don't really feel tired until you get back to your room because it's all fun and all of, and but then you have to pull through. You have to eat on time. You have to do everything you have to do so that you can perform behind the camera, in front of the camera,
Oh, I mean, that
it
sounds intense.
It's very interesting. It was intense, but I found it all very, 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 very interesting for me. It was something completely different of what I usually do, completely off. So I took it all in my stride. It was very fun. Yeah.
Okay, so we covered, we covered your sport. We've covered how you got into acting. We covered even the days on shoot. What, what's your, okay, you're on a new film project, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so how much can you at least tease or headline?
I cannot. Okay. I'm not acting in this next one.
Okay.
Okay. It's directed by the same director who did PASKAL.
Right.
I am not doing this movie. I am. It's a very interesting twist as well. This one. Okay. So from fighting to coaching normal people, and then to acting, and then now, my role for this guys is there's 4 main casts in this film, and it's my job to get them in shape.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm their coach, literally their coach. Now, 5-6 days a week we are training. I am training them to build a good physique and also make sure they look like a fighter, because this movie has a lot of fighting scenes apparently.
All right.
Okay. So when they fight, they can't look awkward. Sometimes when you don't know how to fight, you look awkward. Maybe you have,
and maybe stiff.
You have these shoulders up, and you can't have your shoulders up when you fight. You have to have it, So all these fine tunings and all that. That's my job now,
right.
And that's what I'm doing with these guys. But mainly trying to get all of them in shape, and that's another huge thing on my resume as well. So I can't tell you much about this next movie because it's not.
I'm only asking you a tease because I understand confidential.
Yeah,
I understand confidential.
That's all. So it's very helpful. And another blessing for me, now there's another avenue that I can pursue here, coaching, celebrity coaching, or however I want to put this, however I want to brand it after this, So as long as these guys show the results that I want, or the director wants, and then that's what's happening now.
Great. Okay, so a bit about your personal insight is the direction of film, maybe as your own career or as the Malaysian scene.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you think it's going, or what is your insight? Having done two films, 3 films, what's your insight on where it's going for either yourself or in the industry?
Okay, when I did my first movie,
Right.
I was very sure that I never wanted to do that again. Very sure. Okay, when I did PASKAL, suddenly I found myself very open to the idea of doing another movie, doing another film. I want to do this more because it was so fun. It was really fun doing it. Now I get that you don't always get a cast like that where you're all together, you all understand each other, and the director is cool. Everyone is like a family.
It's almost like a dream team.
Yeah, it's like a dream team kind of thing, and the end product was really good as well. It's not always like that, right? But since this was this is an early project for me, and so it sort of set the stage like, okay, you know what, I can do this. I see myself doing this in the future. That's it. The Malaysian film industry itself is going in my opinion, the correct direction, because if previously we would have, say many years ago, you'd have like 1 or 2 good movies coming out here and there. That's about it. You don't have, but then you see last year, there were multiple good movies just last year alone, multiple box office movies. There was Hantu Kalima, Munafik 2, Police Evo, Pascal was one of them. So all these movies came out in 1 year, and then that sort of really stepped up the thing for directors to try and do better films.
Right.
You know, you can't just say, okay, let's do a movie about whatever, and you go there, you do a sloppy job.
I mean, my general impression of Malaysian films, at least movie films, is that it might still be, you could say,
Refined.
I don't want to use the word. No, I'm gonna say.
Please,
Okay.
yeah. Say it.
I feel that it's still kind of trapped in a certain in a certain genre.
Genre, exactly.
Like like either horror or police action.
Horror, police, or
gangsters.
Yeah, and love.
Yes, and love.
Yes, it's very because that's part of why I think part of why they do it is because also what the audience wants.
Yeah.
Like I guess if you take Tamil movies from India, because I'm Indian, so I watch movies. Tamil movies from India, they all tend to have a love story, songs, hero, heroine, and all of that.
And the dance scene.
And the dance scenes,
Right.
You have to have that because you have to cater to what the public wants.
Okay.
And then you have those Tamil, I want to say indie movies where it's very, very different. There's no songs. It's just very purely realistic, but it doesn't make a ton of money. So if your goal is to, of course, satisfy the public and also make some money in the process and also make a good movie, you have to find the right genre. And that now has dropped, and that now has fallen. In Malaysia, it's come to the army, police, and some action, and of course horror. Love is not really there yet. So recently, and so I'm going to say that the film industry is going in the right direction. Now we as a viewer have to change our minds. I have to open up our minds rather to watch more. Just if they come out with a movie, you want to see it. What is this about? You want to be more open to different ideas, different genres, but even in Hollywood, the movies that make the big bucks are the action movies or the movies with the big names, the big actors. Right? Am I right saying that?
I still watch those movies, but I also kind of notice, because I'm a designer, we can see how the patterns of the formats of things, and you go like it's a formula.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
what?
So for me, being critical about it is I still enjoy the movie, but
Yeah.
I can see that it's the same
Exactly.
pattern, the same process. So
Exactly.
is there something new?
Yes. That's when it's hard to find. Like when I watched Mad Max, the first one, and then even the Fury Road, that was something entirely new. Something coming out of nowhere. And if you want a Malaysian movie to do something like that, an entirely new concept, and you want them to create something, we have to have the audience to want to watch it. Number one, right? If we do have that audience or not, we won't know until the movie comes out, right?
Yeah.
So I guess now is that time where investors and all are willing to put money into put big bucks into films that are that directors want to make, and then we can experiment with a certain genre and all that. And I guess I'm thinking the next 5 years is going to be really interesting for the Malaysian film industry. It's my thought.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, just figure out which one to ask you.
Yeah.
So, will you take another lead role if asked?
A lead role.
Might you take another lead role or screen role? On-screen role?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not going to say in a heartbeat, but I'm going to say I'm going to read the script and definitely do it. I understand now. Like some people are telling me, what kind of persona, what kind of person do you want to be? What kind of an actor do you want to build? Yourself to be. So I don't want to just go and take any role.
Yeah.
Right. Because you want to build yourself, right? So if I want to build myself as an actor, I want to choose my roles, number one. So that being said, if a lead role or any kind of role character does come to me, I would definitely put a lot of thought into it.
Okay.
Definitely.
Now that here's an interesting question of options.
Yeah.
See, there's this term in Hollywood film called the versatile actor, and versus what you just mentioned, that perhaps you'll be selective. But is it should it be a matter of do what you do best, or be able to broaden that portfolio?
A versatile actor, say, I don't know.
I mean, that's a
that's someone I do not. Okay, until today, I still do not really call myself an actor because I've only done like two.
Yeah, right.
You know, and on top of that, to be a versatile actor, you have to be a good actor.
Right.
And that's when you can do any kind of role. You can fit into any kind of role. And as much as I didn't want to become an actor at the beginning, I loved watching movies. I would watch a ton of movies. Every night is a new movie, you know, and I loved being critical about these movies. I would watch how one character can be, you know, these guys can do so many things. In this movie, he's like this. In this movie, you're like this. So how they really branch out and try to be as many roles as they can, and that really intrigued me even from the beginning. So I loved watching movies, and I could really appreciate that. So for me to become an actor like that, I have to be a good actor, like to be a fighter. I know I have what it takes to be a good fighter, and that's what I want to work towards, and that's what I'm working towards. But this is so new for me that I cannot say that, yeah, I'm going to be a versatile actor because I'm damn good at it.
Right.
That's just an arrogant way to think, I think. So I have to know, it's sort of validating yourself. You have to know that, okay, I can do this. I can act. As much as you can look in front of the mirror and do a sad face or a happy face, you know, you want to be able to go on screen and make sure that translates, right? So up until that happens for me, I don't think
It's probably is not appropriate.
For me to say, yeah, I can do everything. You know what? Throw anything at me. You know, I will do it. Although that's a good mindset to have, it's not very practical. Yeah. Okay. Now, pulling it back. Yeah.
You're still fighting, are you?
Yes, I am. Yes, I'm still fighting. At least I'm still training to fight. I was supposed to fight actually in February, so this month.
Okay.
But things happened. This new film project came up, and I had to sort of choose what I wanted to do. And this is where last year was when I realized that I cannot do both at the same time. So while shooting PASKAL, I had to fly back to KL, train for about a week, and then fight my biggest fight of my career, which was my title defense.
Right.
I walked in the defending champion, 2000, and so I won the title 2016.
Okay.
17. Anyway, I flew in to fight to defend my title. No training at all. Practically no training, because training for 1 week is not training for a big fight. I go in there, I'm fighting my friend, I'm fighting my teammate. Okay, he's been training me forever, and now we're fighting the main event. And he puts up this incredible fight, okay? Because he knows I've been missing, I've not been training. So he puts up this incredible fight, and he wins on decision. Okay? And sitting down, there's a picture of me on Instagram where I'm sitting down thinking about things. Immediately at that point is when I knew that I have to really choose. If I want to do acting, I have to be invested in acting, okay? And if I want to do fighting, I have to be invested in it. Invested in it, I don't mean by completely doing this and dropping the other. I mean, like, if I'm going to do a role for the next 4 months, focus on that. Right. After that, the next 6 months, if I want to just do fighting, train and completely focus on just fighting and don't do anything else. And even if roles come in, say, no, I'm preparing for a fight, and say, I want to fight, and this is what I want to do. And I have to have that discipline. I learned this from Peter Davis. When I spoke to Peter Davis the other day, Peter Davis has been doing this for a very long time.
All right.
Acting and fighting for a very long time, right? And he has sort of found the right balance where he can act and also put up a good fight and win fights.
Or maybe you could call it balance. Maybe it's even his proper rhythm.
Exactly. Maybe it's a rhythm. Maybe he's found a rhythm throughout the many years that he's been doing things. But he spoke to me and said, sometimes you just have to be disciplined in saying that if a movie comes in while you're training, say, no, I'm sorry, I'm training for a fight now, and you cannot do it. And if you cannot regret it in the end and say, oh, you know, I should have done this movie, maybe I shouldn't have taken the fight. You cannot regret it, because that's what you want to do. You want to fight now, and the remainder of the year you will focus on your acting career and your on-screen appearance and all of that. So that discipline is what is very important for now me, I would say.
All right. Now, we're coming towards the end, so we'll get into the part where I call it my 3 questions.
Okay.
And it basically is, what advice might you have at different points for the audience out there? So my first question is for those who have the idea, be it going to sport fighting or be it into film, what advice might you have for them?
Okay. So when you become, let's take an athlete for a start. Where I was an athlete even from starting out in school. I was an athlete. Coming up, I was an athlete. So now, it would be natural, or it would make sense to think that Theeban in Form 5 is going to be an athlete when he's 25 years old. It would make sense, and that was my projection as well. I wanted to be an athlete, But then again, I had a friend in school, Jeff, right? And he was never an athlete. He was always bumming in front of the class. Very weird place to bum. He would sit right in front of class, literally the front row.
I know the jokers are typically
you call them the backbenchers for a reason. I was a backbencher. So he would sit literally at the front of the class and sleep while the teacher is talking. And this guy is now an ultra marathoner, meaning he runs like
50Ks.
No, 50Ks is piece of cake for him. He runs in 800s, 700s, and he's running for from what I heard the last time was he was running 8-9 days on end or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, Jeff Lau.
All right.
So he and I are both ambassadors with Under Armour now, and so he has made this complete change from what he was to who he is now. So number one, it is who you want to be, and how much are you willing to put into it. Are you going to when I started out fighting, I got injured, my knee got injured.
Yeah.
Is that the end of the world? If that's the end of the world, and then you are not an athlete, you are not going to be a good athlete. If you're not willing to push through when someone pushes you down, you have to be able to push up and get back up and say, no, what I'm going to do this. This is nothing, compared to how hard other people have it out there. Some people are losing their legs, You're not doing that, you just broke a leg, It's fine, get up, go back again. How much are you willing to put on the line and just go for it? If you are able to do things like that, if you know that that's what you want to be, and you're going to push through and try and be that person, and then that's where you belong. And that's for sorry, you have something?
No.
So that's for fighting. If you're an actor, now I cannot say the same thing. If you get beat up and your face is all bruised, you can't go on screen and try and do the same kind of role. That's a different kind of self-discipline. You want to make sure you take care of yourself. You want to make sure you learn your roles. You want to make sure you're constantly learning from other people. So you cannot be like, no, I know everything. I'm not going to learn from you because you've been acting 1 year, I've been acting 10 years. You have nothing to bring to the table. You want to constantly be learning from other people. Like as I am now, I'm constantly learning, and I'm trying to be as much as I can, so that I can pursue this career now. So that's all you need. You need that drive to be able to say that this is what I want to do, and that's what I'm going to do.
Okay, so that was the idea, what do you do with the idea?
Yeah.
So now the next question is, taking that idea into developing the skills needed to do that.
Okay.
What advice might you have for them?
I'm going to say, and I'm going to give you an example from my experience, okay? So I used to be, there's two types of fighters out there. There's the orthodox fighter, which is where you have your left leg forward, right hand back. That's an orthodox fighter, and that's, if you're a right-hander, you usually do that, okay? And that's 90% of the world. And then there's a southpaw, where you have your right leg in front and your left hand behind you, which is usually for left-handers. And this is where you have your power hand on your left hand, okay? And when I got injured on my right knee, my first knee, okay, I got injured on my right knee, I couldn't put that leg in. I couldn't put that leg
front.
behind.
Oh, okay.
It's like I couldn't put it behind because behind is where a lot of action is. The back leg is where a lot of action is. You're stopping,
bracing
you're
leg,
pushing.
right?
Yeah.
It's for bracing, right?
Yes, it's for bracing. It's also for pushing forward, thrusting forward. You want to use that leg for a lot of things. So I couldn't put that behind.
Right.
So you spoke about developing a skill. So at this point, I'm just an orthodox fighter. I'm not a skillful fighter in any sense. I am a more tactical fighter. I think about things. I think about what you're going to do, how I can trap you. And I have like 5 techniques. That's it. I have friends who have like 20, 30 techniques. They can do everything. They can do a spinning technique. They can do a dancing technique if there's one. They can do anything they want. Okay? And I'm not one of those fighters. I'm a fighter who has this many things because I'm not flexible. I know what I'm working with. That's number one. You have to know what you're working with. There's your own body and you will know it more than anybody knows it. Okay? So, coming back to the story. I had my right leg behind, right hand behind, and I couldn't do it anymore because that was putting too much pressure on my knee and I had to do something about it. So I spoke to my coach and he said, why don't you try switching?
Yeah.
And that idea was just like, oh, what? Very unheard of for me. I was like, okay, no, I'll try. I put that leg in front, I put the left leg behind, and I started with the small things. I started with just footwork, how to move forward, backwards. Although it's still your body, although you've done it on the other side a million times before, when you switch sides, it's a whole different world. It's a very different thing. It's hard to understand how different it is. You just can't move in the same way. I started with the small things, moving. When I go home, sometimes I would sweep the house with my left hand, just to get this hand, moving in the right way. So by doing these little things, as I was trying to make the right side, rather the southpaw side, the same as the orthodox side, I started to learn that I don't have to make it the same. I can make it its own unique thing. So I can have 2 completely different fighting styles, rather being 2 different people in one. So if I'm here, I can do a bunch of things this side. When I turn around, I'm someone else. That's what I started to learn as I went on. And now I'm one of those fighters where people know as, this guy switches too much. Even now when both my knees are fine and both my knees are gone, I go like, I start in orthodox, I turn to southpaw to do a couple of techniques, I turn back, I keep switching. And this switching stance is what has made me, taken me one level up now. Now, as a fighter now, I have developed a skill. One of my injuries did not push me down. It made me develop another skill to become a better fighter. Right. And that's what you want to do. You want to be able to learn. It's not impossible to learn. Like I said, I am not a skillful fighter. I'm not a flexible guy. It's your brain working and telling your body who you are and what you're able to become. And if you're able to completely focus on what you want to be and who you want to be and how you want to do that, it is completely possible. It's the brain that's telling you. It's very possible.
Wow.
Yeah.
As just like the rest of this is going, it's pretty intense. It's great.
It's when you think about it and you put it in words, it's very, very interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Now the last question I have is, okay, so from idea to skills to vocation.
Yeah.
Okay, like starting out. Okay, now I got skills. How do I? Well, in one sense, the reality is we got to monetize it.
Yeah.
But probably the specific thing the specific thing that I would am asking here is, how do you start out having this skill set? Like, what do you do with it now? How do you make it work for you, or put it out there?
You mean
basically how you from your mindset to your from your mindset you develop some skills, and then from skills you start out in, I guess, your journey of whatever.
Okay.
Like, how do you use it?
How
might you make use of it?
How does that come about, and how do I make use of it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, growing up, you watch sports, or you watch dancing, or whatever you're watching, and it is not just a belief that I have. It is I know for a fact that when you watch something long enough, your mind will capture it, and when your mind captures it, your body can perform it, because your mind is the one that's doing all the talking. Right. So it's your job to develop, it's your mind's job and your eyes, it's their job to look, to watch and to capture skills. As you look, watch, and capture skills, and when you adapt it to your own body, you must adapt it. You cannot just copy and paste. You have to adapt it to your own body, and that's when you start to say, maybe I like this sport. Maybe I will do this. Maybe I will do this. Maybe I will do something entirely different, right? So now, as you pick out what you want to do, like for me, it was fighting, and I wanted to do fighting, and making it work for me is completely adaptation. It's not just trying to be the best fighter out there. It's not just being bigger, stronger, and more muscular than everyone else. I can not be as muscular as I am, or and really make it work for me. But rather, it all comes down, for me, it really comes down to thinking about it. The mind is here now key for me. Every time I finish something, I go home and I'm thinking, how can I make this work?
Right.
How am I supposed to make it work? And I have a whole spreadsheet on my computer, even on my phone. Every time I have a new idea, I put it down in my phone. I have spreadsheets to elaborate more on those ideas. How I can, okay, now I'm a fighter, I'm also doing this, I have coaching skills. How can I link it all and make it all work together to be able to carry my name as a brand itself, or be able, because that's what I want to do. At this point, I don't want to go back to, say, I don't want to go and pursue what my degree gave me. I did my degree in petroleum chemistry. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to suddenly fall out of all this. You know what? This is not working for me. I want to go and do science again. Right. That's not going to work. You have at this point, at this age, you have to be more realistic. Okay, this is what it is. This is what I have. How do I link it all and make it all work together? So for me, what really works is simply thinking about it. I would bounce out ideas of myself, of my girlfriend, thinking about what I can do, avenues, like for me at this point when I'm coaching and also training and also acting, right? There's a whole new avenue that has opened up of coaching celebrities or something like that, and I want to build on this idea now. So all your skills, you'll be able to make, if you're able to make the connections correctly, right, you'll be able to make it into something much bigger, much better, and much more long-lasting, rather than just living from project to project to project, from fight to fight, where paychecks are coming and not coming at certain times. You want to be able to create something more substantial. And that's where, for me, thinking and putting it all down in the spreadsheet, writing down exactly what I want, how I want to do it, of course, bouncing ideas off my girlfriend. All this really helps me. So for me, it's the mind that does 90% of the work, and then it's the rest is your body.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. That's great.
Cool.
That's great. So just this last little bit before we close out. Okay. Giving it to you. Do you have anything you want to say, like maybe last words, your advice, or even your shameless plug? It's this one I give to you.
Sorry, excuse me. It's not a matter of what people tell you to do. You're growing up in a society where you go to school, you go to college, you start working, get a house, get married, get a kid, live life. That's sort of the chronology of a normal person. And if that's what you want to do, by all means, do it. It's not wrong. Don't be shy about it. If that's what you want to do, then do it. But society cannot dictate what you want to be, who you want to be, how great you want to be. Okay? If you have an idea, if you have an ideal about who you want to be and how high you want to go in life, that's your ideal, right? And you have to do whatever it takes to make that ideal become reality. People will tell you along the way that you cannot do it, that that you're not made for the role, that you're not meant to do it. At the same time, you will find excuses for yourself. That I've been going to the gym for so long. That guy just started going to the gym now. And he looks better than me. He's on steroids. I'm not. That's why. You don't know that. So don't make excuses for yourself. If it's not showing, means you're not doing something right. So you have to do it better. And that's where you level up. As long as you can be real with yourself, you have that ideal now that you want to chase and you're chasing. If you're going to chase that ideal while not being real to yourself, while trying to give excuses to yourself, for yourself, you're never going to reach it.
True.
Rather, as you're trying to reach it, you want to be able to, you want to self-criticize. You want to say, yeah, I'm doing this wrong, I'm doing this wrong, I'm doing this wrong. Learn from a younger man, learn from an older man, learn from a younger lady, learn from anyone possible that you can learn from. I am learning from kids that are 5 years old. I'm learning from them how to be more happy. I'm learning a bunch of things, always constantly learning.
Right.
And that's what, if you want to chase something, you have to do whatever it takes. And nothing can ever stop you. The mind is such a powerful tool that we have that is very rarely fully utilized. Okay, so you want to be able to use that your brain and make that ideal a reality. That's what I would say. If I have to say something.
Yeah. All this has been very, very, I mean, I'm happy to hear all this and, being it captured.
Thank you.
Okay. So, but unfortunately, it's about the hour.
Time.
So, I'm gonna have to close this out. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, audience on the internet, I've been speaking with Theeban Govindasamy.
It's hard to say, I understand.
Okay. Fighter, actor, film professional.
Yes.
Somewhere
there.
Okay. If you want to know more, you can get in touch with him. We will have his contact both in the description and in the end slide.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be my Instagram or something like that.
Yeah. So if you want to know more, you can get in touch with Theeban, which we will put out the contact. And with that, thank you very much. It's been great talking with you.
It's really good talking to you too. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Theeban.
Thank you, man.
And with that, well, come back for another Plusma-cast.